Okay, so the first program I normally use is Adobe After Effects, which is a special effects program, but I also use it for color correction and color grading. The first shot I'm going to go through is how we did the helicopter effect. It wasn't too difficult because I managed to download the stock footage of a helicopter on green screen from the Best Green Screen YouTube channel. So all I had to do was key out the green and then color correct the helicopter to match the scene. So I've gone back into the composition, and here we can see the original just plain shot of a field with some trees in it. This shot is handheld, which means that we had to motion track it so that the helicopters and explosions would fit in the scene properly. So I used After Effects CS6's inbuilt 3D camera tracker. Once the scene had been tracked, I just parented the green screen helicopter layers to the track null, and then all the layers, or all the green screen helicopters just fit in the scene properly. Now, because I had to color correct the crashing helicopter, the explosion that went with the stock footage went green, which doesn't look very realistic. So I used Action Essentials 2 and added in some explosions, which also had to be parented to the track null to fit in the scene properly. I duplicated the explosion layer to make it a bit bigger and a bit more vibrant, and after all this is done, we have a pretty convincing helicopter effect, or as convincing as can be done on a budget as low as ours, which was zero. I'll show you how I color corrected and color graded the other clips now. So once I've got the big special effects out the way, I like to move on to the color grading and color correcting of the individual clips, and then also if they need any special effects like muzzle flashes. Obviously it is a war film, so I add those as well. We shot this on a flat picture style to make it easy to color correct in post-production, so I used the levels effect that comes with After Effects, which just adds a little bit more contrast to the shot and makes it look a bit better. Once I've added the levels effect, I usually like to add all the muzzle flashes if necessary. So yeah, click the layer on, that's the muzzle flash. I changed the blending mode to screen to make it look a little bit brighter and look a bit more realistic too. I also rotated the muzzle flash to match the angle of the barrel to make it fit in the scene a little bit better. Next thing I do is I add a new adjustment layer over the top of all the muzzle flashes and the original footage, and I like to grade the shot using the Film Convert Pro plugin that comes with After Effects. I used the Kodak 5207 Viz 3 film stock, and we kept the film grain relatively visible at around 26% just to give the film a little bit more of a gritty feel. So if I click on the Film Convert plugin, it looks a bit more like a war film now. So next I'll move on to Sony Vegas, which is where I do the main edit of the film and show you how I went through that process. So once all the clips have been color corrected, color graded, and any necessary special effects have been added, I render the footage out from After Effects and import it into Sony Vegas Pro 10. So the first 30 seconds of our film opening, just opening credits, which are relatively easy to do. It's the same process in any NLE. We also have our intro, which I made a couple of years ago. It's just the name of our YouTube channel. It's nothing really special. And then straight after the credits, we start with the explosion of a Huey helicopter, and the intention is basically to draw the audience in straight away to the action. Visually, we have loads and loads of fast cuts to kind of match what was done in We Were Soldiers and somewhat Saving Private Ryan too. The intro doesn't take very long to kind of set the scene. We have battle, soldiers dying, two main characters rushing out into the field trying to get the last Huey. And then we end abruptly with the explosion of the Huey in the air. The idea is hopefully the audience will think, oh, what's happened, they want to continue watching. Cut to black pretty quickly, 38 hours earlier. In terms of the audio, we had loads and loads of different individual sounds added. I started with the ambience kind of explosions going off in the background, bits of gunfire, helicopters, that sort of thing, screaming as well. But we actually had so many audio files individually on the timeline that it started to clutter up a bit, and it was making my computer lag, so I had to render out the audio into one separate kind of file on the timeline, which is this one. I then went on to add individual gun sounds, the gun sounds you can actually see on the screen, the diegetic gun sounds and explosion sounds. Also any necessary bullet hits, that sort of stuff, explosions, more screaming. So there's a lot of sound put into this film. And for the music, we got that from the Atmostra 2 soundtrack pack. It's royalty free. I managed to get a license for it just in the nick of time. It's pretty good music. I think it fits pretty well with the conventions of a Vietnam War film. It's pretty fast paced as well, so I think that works fairly well. You can also see that I added a letterbox effect. That's just to make it a little bit more like the films you see in the cinema, a little bit more cinematic. The 2351 anamorphic effect. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we did for editing. Thanks for watching.